So I'm sure we all heard about the bridge collapse that happened in Skagit, Washington a few weeks ago, but we may not know that we're at risk for the same thing to happen to our own I-5 bridge. According to an article in the Portland Tribune from May 24th that I accessed on their website, both the Skagit and Columbia River bridges are labeled as functionally obsolete. Because of this, I believe that Washington and Oregon legislation should approve the Columbia River crossing project. So bridges have always kind of made me nervous. I've never really liked driving over them. I'll do it, but it was never my favorite thing to do. And I've always been a supporter of the CRC project from the beginning, but because of this recent bridge collapse, I think it's now more important than ever that we get a new bridge and approve this project. So most of us probably live in Vancouver. Some of us might live in Portland. We probably travel to and from Vancouver on a pretty regular basis or have a friend or family member who commutes into Portland to work. In some way, we're all connected to Portland, and our connection to Portland means that we're connected to the I-5 bridge. So first, I'm going to talk about why we need a new bridge, and then why the Columbia River Crossing project is the right solution. Next, we will look at what our community will look like once the CRC project has been implemented, and then finally, how we can help make this happen. So first, let's look at why we need a new bridge so badly. So, like I said, the Portland Tribune has said that our I-5 bridge is labeled as functionally obsolete. An inspection actually happened on the bridge about a year ago that said that our bridge was safe. However, it has the same risk factors that the Skagit River Bridge had when it collapsed. Our I-5 bridge is built on wood pilings, and these are a hazard in case of an earthquake, and we know that we are at risk for a severe earthquake to happen in our area. The northbound I-5 bridge was actually built in 1917, compared to the Skagit Bridge, which was built in 1955. The southbound portion of I-5 was built 4 years after the Skagit River Bridge. So according to the website for the Columbia River Crossing Coalition, which was updated on the 3rd of this month, our bridge might be at a greater risk than officials are actually saying. The northbound span of the I-5 bridge has a sufficiency rating of 18.5, and that is a score out of 100. The score for the Skagit River Bridge was 54.7. So both sides of the I-5 bridge are labeled as fracture critical, which the coalition website defines as a bridge without safety redundancies or backups that will protect it from collapsing if part of a bridge truss is damaged. So while safety is a very real problem, it is not the only problem with our current bridge. So according to ColumbiaRiverCrossing.org, which was created in 2010 by both the Washington and Oregon Departments of Transportation, congestion around the bridge is a really serious problem. The Columbia River Crossing's problems page says that about 134,000 vehicles in 2005 crossed the interstate bridge on an average weekday, creating 4 to 6 hours of congestion. So if this flow of traffic is not controlled, the number of hours of congestion could spike to 15 by the year 2030. And not only does this mean that we'll have rush hour literally all day long, congestion is a catalyst for vehicle collisions, and around 400 crashes per year happen on and around the I-5 bridge right now. So now that we know the safety and convenience problems that are associated with our current Columbia River Bridge, let's look at what can be done to address them. So I didn't have to come up with a solution to this problem because one already exists, and it's the Columbia River Crossing Project. So according to the official information guide on the CRCP, which was created by the Columbia River Crossing Coalition and published on April 10th of this year, the CRC project began in 2005 and began when a task force was created to identify the community's needs surrounding a new bridge. Throughout 2005 and 2006, 70 plans were created, but they were narrowed down to 12 official options. In 2008, a replacement bridge that includes light rail was identified as the best solution, and the project received a federal record of decision from the Federal Transit Administration and Federal Highway Administration in December 2010. So the task force also created an official purpose and needs statement, which has 4 main points according to the same guide. The first is to improve travel safety and traffic operations on the I-5 bridge and associated interchanges. The second is to improve connectivity, reliability, travel times, and operations of public transportation modal alternatives in the project area. The third is to improve highway freight mobility and address interstate travel and commerce needs in the project area. And the final point is to improve the I-5 structural integrity and seismic stability. So the Columbia River Crossing project involves more than just replacing the bridge. The main overall goals are to expand transportation options and also lessen traffic flow problems. The proposed CRC project will include a new I-5 bridge, and it will also have improved highway interchanges around the bridge. It will expand light rail into Vancouver and have a dedicated pedestrian and cycling routes on the bridge, according to ColumbiaRiverCrossing.org. So, I have pictures from the Washington and Oregon Departments of Transportation that are like mock-ups of what the bridge will look like. So, this is a picture of the proposed bridge, and the height of the bridge is high enough that bridge lifts will never be necessary. That combined with the new interchange system will really improve traffic flow and lessen congestion, which is obviously really important. So the next picture is of the proposed new interchange systems and the on and off ramps. And these will create safer merging conditions when getting onto the bridge, which will in turn lead to less accidents. And the third picture is of what light rail could look like once it's in downtown Vancouver. That's a MAX train, which a line of the MAX train is going to be run throughout downtown Vancouver, which is an eco-friendly alternative to driving, and will provide like new transportation options for people in Vancouver. And finally, this is a mock-up of the pedestrian and cycling path, which is proposed to be at least 16 to 20 feet of a dedicated path for not just non-motorized travel. And it's underneath you can see the cars up there, so it's underneath and separated from the traffic for safety reasons. So if you've been following this story on the news at all, you'll know that there's a lot of opposition to the project, and most of this is due to cost, specifically the cost of the addition of light rail and also tolls that might happen because of this bridge. Washington for CRC, which is an organization that's created by local businessmen and citizens of Washington who support the project, says on their facts page of their website, which I accessed on June 6th, that we will lose $850 million from the federal government and $450 million from Oregon if light rail is eliminated from the project. This is because that money is grants that help sustainable transportation projects, and without that money, it will be impossible to fund the bridge. The facts page also says that Washington State Legislature has passed a law prohibiting the tolling of the I-205 bridge to help pay for the I-5 bridge replacement. So that was a major fear that many people had, but that has been made illegal, so that will not happen. So even though our new bridge is expensive, it is a cost that we must bear in order to improve the safety and efficiency of travel between Portland and Vancouver. So now let's look at some of the benefits of these changes. So if you've ever traveled across our I-5 bridge, do any of these scenarios sound familiar? You're coming home to Vancouver from Portland, and you're stuck in an hour or more of traffic for what should be a 20-minute commute. You're driving over the bridge, and you get to the crest of the hill, and suddenly you have to slam on your brakes because you couldn't see that the cars in front of you had stopped. Or you're traveling southbound, and you're about to get on the bridge, and suddenly you almost get sideswiped by a car trying to merge onto the bridge from the on-ramp from downtown Vancouver that comes, it's at the very last second right before the bridge starts. So all three of those things have happened to me, and at least one has probably happened to all of you. So you should be happy that the CRC plan aims to decrease all of these problems. So as Clark College students specifically, we will be impacted by the changes that will happen in our area downtown, particularly with light rail. In an article from The Independent on June 5th, which is Clark's biweekly newspaper, they discussed how a light rail station will be placed near the college, and it will have access to the central park and ride by a new bus transit corridor that's going to be created, which will mean that Clark College students have a lot more transportation options than just driving or trying to take a bunch of bus routes to get them there, especially if students who commute from Portland. There will also be 3 new parking garages that are created through the CRC project, and one of them will actually be in what is currently Clark's silver parking lot. And as Clark students, we obviously know the notorious problem of parking here, so that should come as a really big relief, because that will make parking a lot easier. So now that we've thought about the positive impacts the bridge will have on our lives, what can we do to help make this a reality? I'm going to pass out a little flyer that has links to some of the organizations that I've discussed, and the link for the Columbia River Crossing Coalition website, if you go to their website, on the left-hand side of the page, there's a link that says, contact your legislatures, act now. And if you are really serious about this and support it like I do, I would really encourage you to go to that page, click the button, and contact people to make a difference. Because currently, Washington and Oregon are really in a gridlock and they're kind of at a standstill about the bridge and the issues. So we need to tell them how important we think it is as citizens of Washington. Also, I'd encourage you to please learn more from the sites that I will give you. I could only cover a fraction of the information that's available about the CRC project, and there's so much more that you can learn to really educate yourself about why this is important. And finally, I'd really appreciate it if you'd inform your friends and family about why we need the new bridge and encourage them to do their own research so that knowledge about the project can be expanded. So far we've discussed how currently we have an unsafe and inefficient bridge, which could be replaced by the Columbia River Crossing project, which would create better transportation for everyone and positively impact students here at Clark College. And I've also said 3 ways that you can help make this a reality. So no one in Skagit thought that their bridge would collapse, and obviously we don't want the same thing to happen to us. So let's be proactive and act before a situation occurs and support the Columbia River Crossing project.